I have an amazing opportunity to interview my next guest, Chelsey Cruz. You can find her on Guam Social Progressor and listen to this amazing background. Modern Indigenous Chamorro matriarch from the island of Guhan, currently living on the unceded lands of Kumeyaay Territory or San Diego, California. She's the creator and host of the Social Progress podcast, an intergenerational mentor and advocate, is officially transitioning her career as an independent creator and speaker through social media. She has an upcoming IG Live fundraiser that she's going to talk about. And as we were talking about, like real life expert, I believe, in sociology, psychology, where you're embracing. I love how I want to know about like your idea about the human experience and why is there so much intergenerational, it's almost like anger where the different generations are not understanding the other and there's so much judgment. I mean, where do we begin and how did you embark on your journey, Chelsey?
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you so much to the Healing with Aloha podcast for having me. I think it's such a great conversation and a great question, and I'm so grateful that we're actually bringing that up. Um, I think we just need to be honest with ourselves to really be truthful about our history. There's a lot of things that happen within our histories, both in our homes and throughout the world, and it just planted these seeds and teachings and indoctrinations of certain things, and I amplify re-exploring the social structures that we operate off of, like culture, age, religion, culture, I said that, all these different things that do ties together but also very much separate us apart. So it's a little bit of my thoughts there.
And what made you create this fundraiser? And can you just give us a little more detail about what's happening this Saturday?
Yeah. So this Friday, June 20, is it Friday, Saturday? Sorry, y'all. Yeah, no, Friday, June 24th,
Sorry.
hosting an Instagram live housing fundraiser. You guys have been seeing a little bit on social media probably that I've been calling for a little bit of financial support. I'll be sharing a little bit more of what's going on in the IG fundraiser, but since February, I've been unstable with housing. I was supposed to leave California. That was the vision, that was the goal throughout the pandemic, just like everybody else. I lost my job, but it wasn't because of the pandemic. And it was my 2-year anniversary, and this was really my job that I wanted to work through and climb up the ladder, which I did throughout that time. I was the youth program coordinator, so I pretty much did everything children for a local homeless shelter that I was working at here in my area. So yeah, the fundraiser is just gonna help me to fund for the local program that I'm in. It's actually called Oceanside's Homeless Resource, and they're an emergency homeless shelter. So they literally go, and anybody who's literally out in the streets can't find any resources, doesn't have any tools or anything to get back on their feet, any money, cell phone, any of their proper documentations to get housing. They take them in and they give them some time to be able to not only kind of like rest and get back into a calm, state of mind after probably being out in the streets for a while, or just even if it's a short period of time, just going through the stresses. And then they help them get, back on their feet. Some people might need help getting like proper documentation. Some people might need help getting jobs, learning how to go into a job interview, learning how to do resumes. So they pretty much do all of those great things. And the fundraiser is going to help me pay for my stay. So it's a nonprofit organization, and they raise money every single day to be able to keep this local resource that is very much needed, running. So the funding is available sometimes and sometimes it's not. So we try to help out the best way we possibly can. The owner, Vanessa Graziano, she's actually been helping me out a lot. So I try my best to at least come up with half of our dues on a day-to-day basis. So that way you can help it out, because there's other families, there's other, people here So yeah, that's what the fundraiser is about. And it's also going to help me, y'all. It's also going to, it's not just like about the money and stuff like that. So I really invite everyone to come in, even if you guys can't donate whatever amount you guys can. You guys don't understand how $3 or $5 really meets a goal and it adds up. But even if you guys can't donate financially, please come in and just share the videos, share the live, whatever it is, tap the screen so that the hearts can come up. All of those things help on Instagram algorithm. I'm also advocating for us to social media healthily and
Mm-hmm.
take some breaks from social media as well. So I know that's like a contradiction, like you're a creator, but you're also telling us, yes, I am, because it is what it is. This is our way of life right now. We're all learning and trying to balance that, and that's what it is. We can still be a creator and help balance those things like that. But yeah, besides coming in and sharing the live and everything like that, come in and listen, because the biggest part of this fundraiser, and I want to amplify and everyone to know, is this is me believing in what I'm doing. And it's been the hardest thing, even though I believe in my vision, I believe in my work, I believe in my goals, I have the utmost confidence in it, and you all see that, or you will continue to see that. It doesn't dismiss the fact that sometimes I can overthink. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be safe? We're in a whole pandemic. There's a lot of violence happening. There's a lot of insecurities, food insecurity, housing insecurities. Like, these are very real things. I'm a woman, and then I also am masculine as well. People are not always happy with these things. So wherever I'm at, wherever whatever I'm doing, who knows what can happen. But we can't let those fears get in our way. We still should come up with, an emergency safety plan, sorts like that. Very, very important. Never joke or think it's uncool or weird to do it, because when, your phone's dead or when you run out of money, you're really going to feel it. And it's just best to just make sure you have a plan B and plan C, letting people know what you're doing, where you're going. But yeah, this whole thing is just going to help me with my belief on what I'm doing. Again, I fully believe in it, but there are those times where real life happens, because I'm still here on an earth that requires me to pay rent or pay with money to get food, or pay my cell phone bill, and just basic necessities. But it's also teaching me as well to sort of become a minimalist, be conscious to my relationships, with how I connect with things, with
Mm-hmm.
just energy, how I spend my time, where I'm at, what kind of people I'm with, just all sorts of things. So yeah, if you're a creator or if you've just been struggling, I know a lot of us have a lot of self-doubt, self-fear,
Mm-hmm.
low self-esteem. Some days we're up, some days we're down. You're definitely going to get some good resource and benefits just off of me sharing my stories. So yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that. So I'm sorry. So it's this Friday, and what time?
Friday the 24th, 5 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. So set your clocks
Yes,
to
let's
the
set our
appropriate time
clocks.
zone.
Definitely. So, I really appreciate your vulnerability. How do you think, we were talking about intergenerational and, a lot of the people who come from families who might be judgmental. How do you find that courage where you're embracing authenticity? Difficult question. And yet fearing judgment, or even being, some families just will not even accept it, right? And you might not even be included as part of that family unit that people rely on, that safety, that acceptance. How do you find that courage?
Yeah, so I was like trying to straighten myself up for this question, because this is a real question. Let me open my throat chakra. So thank you for that question. And I just want to be honest. In the beginning, I didn't find the courage, and I was hiding my voice in front of my family, in front of my mother, most especially because she's an important role in my life. I was, like we talked about earlier, living this double life. I was hiding my gifts, I was hiding my ideas or my visions, because my family or my mother, whoever, they know and they support. But again, a lot of the things that I'm doing is going against, are not going against, but it's challenging because I don't want to go against nothing. I'm not trying to go against anything. I'm trying to bridge it together. I want to collaborate with these old outdated traditions so we can teach you why we're moving forward. But yeah, I didn't have the courage at first. So I was doubting myself a lot. I was doubting my gift. I was still sharing it. I was still doing what I needed to do. But I found myself sort of distracting with other things. So, like for an example, although I'm so grateful and I'm so glad that I started my podcast to welcome in everybody's stories, encourage other people to utilize their voice, trust in their voice, trust in their stories, so they can then share it with others because it's valuable information and people need it. That was great that I did that. But at the same time, the heavens were also like, when are you going to believe in your voice? When are you going to share your stories? When are you going to start encouraging? And I was, so I want to give myself grace and understanding and patience, that even though I didn't fully give out the whole details like I wanted to, in those little moments where I was doing interviews and episodes and podcasts and videos, I was growing my self confidence. I was growing my self belief. I was growing the belief in my voice. I was growing the belief in my mind. So that's why I'm very just like fluid with social media. Sometimes I'm professional. Sometimes I show a little bit more of my personality. Sometimes it's like education and awareness. Sometimes I'm expressing through emotion.
Hmm.
But I was like, maybe I should delete this. Maybe I should delete this. And again, my spirit team, God, was letting me know that your whole spiel is lived experiences, educating lived experiences, humanizing your human experience. So on social media, it's this platform of, pretty, 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 or certain theme, certain theme, certain theme, certain theme. And with mine, it's just kind of like,
Which
but
is
it's
real
supposed to be
though,
like
right?
that because it's real. I'm
It is
not
real.
the social media, I'm not the computer, I'm the human being. And so also we do want to have our boundaries. I do want to give a note to the kids and the young folks or anybody out there. We don't always have to share everything on social media. There are a lot of things, a lot of interviews, a lot of work, a lot of jobs, a lot of stories that I connected with that I still haven't posted on social media yet. A lot of the things that I'm posting right now, it's very gentle. I don't think the whole world is totally, I don't want to say that. The world is ready for like the real stuff, but it's okay. What I'm trying to say, it's okay to kind of like sit with that for yourself first before you share it out with everybody else. Um, so yeah, besides not having the courage, going back to the question, I finally did, because after some time it gets at you when you wonder why you're changing how you look, or you're changing, how you interact with people. You're not hanging out with people anymore, you're not happy anymore, you're not smiling anymore, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're wondering what's wrong with you, where that's because you're not living in your fullest authentic self that you want to be. And I'm not saying it's easy, it's a process to do that. But I believe it was Jim Carrey. He did an interview and he was saying depression is your body telling you, like, forget you, F you, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of this. There's too many different things going on right now. I'm not this person, but only we can choose. So, for an example, with my mother, I had to choose to work on myself and make myself strong enough to be firm to my mother in the most respectful way possible, because it's important to respect our parents, but it's, also an equal thing for the parents to be able to sit down with the kids and understand and hear the kids as well. I don't think it's not this again, patriarchy thing that we've been depending on, where it's a higher, and again, the parents, they are, up there, and the kids are growing and learning, but it kind of should be an equal thing. So I had to build the strength to I had to continuously tell my mom, I understand where you're coming from, but this is my experience. I had to stand firm. I couldn't feel guilty that I was being honest with my mom. I couldn't feel guilty or worried that I was disrespecting her, because I was not, because I'm advocating for myself. And it's a strong thing for us to do that, especially between our parents, because as a daughter trying to communicate to your parent, or as a child trying to communicate to your parent, even if I'm 31 years old, I will still become this little girl that wants my parent to understand me and wants my parent to see me and hear me. However, through the healing, through the connecting with yourself and forgiveness to your parents, because oftentimes we blame ourselves, we'll blame our parent, our grandparents, somebody else. We have to be graceful with ourselves and with our families to know that in my grandparents' time, they went through World War literal live two. They were literally put in concentration camps. Violence, torture, it was normalized. So in return, my mother's generation, maybe there's a lot of drug abuse, maybe there's a lot of domestic violence normalized. I'm not saying it's okay for us to do that, but now me and my generation, coming from all these different ways of teaching and lifestyles, and now I see both sides, the war side, the effects of the war side, and now it's me. What am I going to choose? Am I going to keep that cycle going of the hatred? I'm going to say, you know what, mom, I understand, in your timeline, the resources that were there or were not there, and that's very hard for a child to do. But if you're out there and you're that child, that's the name of your game. So you chose to do that. So you choose to do that, you know that you have to get up every day, even if you're sad, even if you feel you want your parent to hear you and understand, and keep doing the work, because it's not about telling each other what to do, it's about being that literal example. And it's hard, these structures, rules, timelines, dates, everything, it's unrealistic to our truth. We cannot follow social media, the world, our best friend, our teacher, what the parents are saying of the timeline or whatever. We have to adapt it, a custom made plan, whatever it is for us. So it's hard, and that's where again grace comes in, because we depend on looking to our community, we depend on looking to our parents, we depend on looking to our schools. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, because we're still unlearning a lot again. So yeah, it took up a lot of courage, and now my mom is just like, okay, but are you safe? Like, did you eat? Like, very real important questions. I appreciate that, I embrace that. But yeah, even with the housing, she's just like, Chelsey, please just come to me. Like, why are you not choosing to come to me? But I have to tell her, and I also have to put a disclaimer, because I know a lot of us are on TikTok, whoever sees this, just because you see other people leaving their homes, leaving their jobs, if you've been feeling called to that for a long time and you have your plan or whatever put together, even if it's not a plan, but you just are safe, you just make sure you're safe and make sure you have those basic resources, then cool. But also, again, just for anybody who's out there, just make sure you put your things in order before you do this, because I didn't just wake up and something told me like, okay, go. I have been called ever since I came to America to go throughout America and do the things that I'm doing on the podcast throughout America and also just throughout the world. It is heightened and it is amplified since the pandemic, because the global pandemic, it wasn't just for nothing, it wasn't just for fun, it wasn't just another event that the world has gone through. It's gone through for a reason, because the earth itself is in a specific time where everything is releasing. There's a lot of renewal. That's why climate change is on all-time high. Waters are rising, trees are burning down. The whole Mother Earth is renewing herself, because through generations and generations, again, we have been doing these things that have been abusing the land, that have been hurting the land. We've been taking too much, basically. I don't know where that came from, but I guess that was supposed to be in there. But it all ties in, you guys. It all ties in. But yeah, even up until now, my mom's still kind of a little worried and sorts like that. But that's where I was going. This has been something that I've been called to do, to break out of the traditional structure. And I know a lot of us are being called to do it. It's not a trend. I know a lot of us who have been practicing consciousness, because I know spirituality is a buzzword, but it's also consciousness, y'all. The chakras and the energy, the frequency, high frequency, low frequency, it's all sadness, anger, happiness, grief, all these different things. And what is the highest frequency? Love. That's why I'm amplifying grace. That's why I'm amplifying compassion, forgiveness. There's nothing that can cause a soldier to put his gun down unless you actually, like what I always say, my grandmother always says, like, she used to say, like, I will be compassionate to a soldier and kind to a soldier even if he beats me, because my kindness might encourage him to be kind to somebody else. Even if he's not kind to me, that's okay. My grandma also said, like, she can whack somebody with a 2x4 if they come. So it's a balance.
It's a balance. I love that. It is a
Like,
balance. You can be
but yeah.
kind, but then you can also, yeah, it is. So I love that, a custom made plan, but it does take courage. It does take foresight and planning. But where did you find the courage? I think most people would, oh, it's too scary and just back away. Right? We talked
Yeah.
about before recording that some people just remain hidden. They
Mm.
don't embrace their authenticity for whatever reason, but what happens if you don't embrace it and you live a inauthentic life? I mean, you really, what first of all, sorry, it's a two-part question. How'd you find the courage in your mind or your perception? What would happen if you stifled that authenticity? Because, as I love how you expert and just really life skills in sociology, psychology, and just the way that you think, such a deep thinker. Can you even describe how you found that courage? Because I know it took time, right? It took a lot of time, but what do you think is that key that people who, like, you know what, I don't have what she has. People watching this going, I that's her. She has the courage, but me, no, it's not for me. But we all, like you said, inside, deep, deep down, we all have that courage. What makes one person like you, I mean, go full-fledged? That takes a lot of courage, telling your mom, I don't know, I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat, I just don't know. I think I
Yeah.
have a place to stay, I'm not too
Yeah.
sure. And as a mother, yeah, you just think, wait a minute, can you just come home? But no, you
Yeah.
are called to do this. And the global effect that you'll have, Chelsea, is, I mean, will
Yeah.
be touching future generations.
Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. The Healing with Aloha podcast, y'all.
I'm
They're
sorry. It is.
gonna
It's.
get
You know
some
what?
gems.
You're mixing Des. Des is healing with Aloha. I'm
Oh,
letting.
letting
Okay.
go. I knew letting go because I wrote a little thing of, I wanted to align it with your podcast, and I wrote a little thing of how I'm letting go
Letting
with
go.
Aloha through this time. But no, the Letting Go with Aloha podcast, y'all. Um, y'all gonna get some gems. But that's a really, because that's a really great question. So that's a really great question. And as for finding the courage, yes, it did take time. So I think what it is was that what brought the courage was when my mom sort of pushed me away multiple times in this conversation, in this calling that I had. I talked a lot about spirituality and she brought on religion.
Hmm.
I talked a lot about the spirituality and how it's this consciousness of love and knowing of stillness, that I don't need to overwork myself or to be in a toxic work environment to live. And she brought on the very real topic of having to work and having to, make a way of living and just dealing with the job that you're at, whatever. And also she, understands and encourages me, okay, you're not happy there, but you got to get another job. Okay, that's fine. You don't want to be there, you got to get another job. But there was a point of time too where she's like, Chelsey, why do you keep on getting fired from these different jobs? Why do you keep leaving? You can't keep doing that. Mom, because I'm not happy there. Chelsey, you can't always be happy in your jobs. You just have to do it. It's what you have to do. But I knew, and throughout that time, I was struggling internally because I wasn't happy. I was bored already. I was done with that. I wanted to expand my mind even more and keep growing and keep growing. So it was through those times with mom where I was going through my parental guidance. There was those times in school, right, where I was struggling and the teacher was telling me like, well, maybe you should find another subject that's easier to you. Maybe sociology or psychology is just a little bit too much for you. No, it's not too much. Y'all need to get in my brain and study my brain because this is like no. I
I love
I
it. I love
I
it.
need the academics, y'all. This is just a joke. I need the academics. I need you. I need you. Um, but it's just there's some things that we learn in the book and there's some things that is just it's inside our DNA, y'all. It is inside downloaded. We are the book, we are the technology, we are the information. It has been forgotten or it has been dormant, it has been stagnant for a long time because again, a long line of indoctrination, a long line of the earth experience of war, poverty, fighting for resources, breaking the land to get oil, just making a green paper that's called money to live in our economic system and survive, to have food and the basic ways of life, like a house over our head. And now we just can't afford anything. But through that, and then this biggest one, this most recent one, was through me missing losing my 2-year job. So this job, I was fired from this job. It wasn't because of COVID. I was fired from the job. I was with the job for 2 years. I was one of the veterans, and I was having a hard time communicating that I was tired. I was burnt out. I couldn't do it. And that was partially my fault because I wasn't using my words, and I'm such a yes person because this is my environment and flow. And I'm not going to say no when a child needs this or a parent needs this. And again, I was in a homeless shelter. So um I was working with the homeless shelter. So it was losing that job. And there's that saying where God says like God removes you from things because they know you will never move. You're so dedicated to your parent. You're so dedicated to your culture. You're so dedicated to your job. You're utilizing that as a distraction and an excuse from what you really truly want to do, which is literally, in my sense, doing what the homeless shelter is doing, but backwards, because we're all backwards right now. Otherwise, like homelessness would be in a low rate and people wouldn't be getting arrested because they're sleeping out on the ground because they need a place to be, and all of this stuff. But again, Grace, I'm not judging, I'm just expressing, and I'm just sharing my point of view. But after losing that job, I was deeply depressed because I was going up, and that title that I say, youth programs coordinator, I fought for that title, but I never officially got it in black and white, and I didn't get paid for that title. But I've been saying that that's what it is because before I got into that job, the children was just doing whatever they needed to. The staff, the people, everybody was like, "Oh my God, children!" And then I came in, I had programming, curriculum, activities for each group level. The kindergartners and the babies, the first, third, second, third grade, fourth, fifth, middle schoolers, high schoolers, all of that. And I'm just one person. So I created a whole curriculum, activities, and just organized pretty much everything. And it wasn't just activities to make time pass by. We were doing emotional development, emotional intelligence, social and emotional learning. And these were through basic activities. I would have some of the volunteers sitting down with the teenagers that were having troubles. And, some volunteers reached the children that nobody else could reach. And now we see progress moving forward with relationship with the family and just all sorts of things. So what I'm trying to say was through all those abandonment, through all of the losses, through all of the no's or whatever the case is, heartbreak. I was going through heartbreak in this time period. And then after that 4-year period of being in a relationship, like 6 years, I would say, because the last 2 years was just But it was still there. It was just super unhealthy and toxic. We were still together, but it like we weren't. It was just a toxic period of doing just whatever. Then I went through like another sort of like a relationship thing. And it was just pulling on all sorts, the career, the love, the family, the everything. So through all of that is where I said, you know what? I'm no longer going to tolerate this in my family setting. I'm no longer going to tolerate this in the job setting. I'm done. And you really have to be put into that fire to redefine, to choose. And so if you don't choose and you're like whatever 30 years old and you're still like listening to your parents and you're unhappy and you're struggling, or you're 50 years old and you know you're living this way and you're struggling or you're unhappy, it's all within our choice. And I know people will be like, it's not that easy. No, of course it's not. This everything that I'm talking about right now was an experience of a little 2 to 4 year time frame, and even more, above. It's literally every year, every day, every single time we're growing and developing. But that's another affirmation for me, is that I'm growing and changing every single day. I don't have to say I'm still the Chelsey yesterday. I can't say that I'm still the Chelsey before I talk to Karen. There's things that Karen, said to me that before this interview that encouraged me a little bit more than what I intentionally prepared for to share. So we're always changing and growing all the time, and I know that's hard for our human brain to catch up, because we're like, oh, we already got a set structure, let's stick here. We already got a good grounding in the relationship, let's stick here. And we want to grasp to the I just guess comfortability or pause of comfort of knowing. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is the human brain always wants to know. But the truth is that we're so like the universe that is just unlimited to what we can know and what we can do. But again, that's where grace comes in, because we're still a human being trying to catch up while also learning, and unlearning and learning, unlearning the ways that never served us or don't serve us no more, while learning the ways that can. Um, so yeah, it was basically through all that trauma, through all those hardships, where I was just like, I cannot. And then the thing that really boosted it, I have to say, was the pandemic. The
Mm-hmm.
pandemic really boosted everything, because I'm just done with it. And now with the pandemic and social media, now I have physical evidence that it's not just Guam. And I don't mean to say, oh, it's just Guam, but because we have this mentality, this is our home, we don't know about what's going on, we're not educated about what's going, we believe that, oh, it's just us, it's only us, nobody else can help us, nobody else understands. That's the lie. So now that the pandemic came and literally put all of us on a pause. And now social media is here and we're all utilizing social media. We're connecting, boom, 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 boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, boom, boom. And now we're all seeing that we're all going through it. So now I'm just like, I'm done with it. I mentioned it to my parents, I'm no longer going back to the traditional work or whatever. If I desperately, so desperately need to, I will. I've been feeling like guilty and like I need to make my way of life and earning at least with my basic necessities, but they're really just stripping me. When we talk about stripping yourself of everything that doesn't serve you anymore, that's not healthy for you. And that's a hard thing, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Changing patterns, because our brain doesn't know the difference of what is good and what is right, what is healthy and what is unhealthy. It's just going. So we have to make the conscious decision to be like, no, Chelsey, let's not scroll for another 10 minutes. We're already scrolling for 20 minutes. Or no, Chelsey, let's not eat that burger today. We already had one yesterday. So just taking those little steps. It's not easy at all, but the thing again, the most easiest, most simplest thing we can do, grace for ourselves and our situation, everyone around us, patience, and understanding and confidence that we're actually okay right where we are. And I told myself, like, I felt really guilty, Karen, when I first came here, because sometimes if the program is having a rough day, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna clock out so we can give this room to this family with this daughter, son, and children and stuff. But I had to tell myself too, like, hey, you need help too, dude. And then not only that, when I was like, oh my God, like I need to make money. I gotta get to work. Like, I can't live like this anymore. Like, what are we doing? I have to like humble myself and be like, you know what? I'm appreciative that I at least have a roof over my head, running water, and it's not, like Ukraine right now, where children are literally being bombed, separated from their families. It's just recognizing these little basic stuff that we take advantage of. And that's where again we'll feel guilty, like, oh wow, Chelsey, you were just like, complaining about. It's okay, because it's very real. This is our reality, and this is where we are, and this is how we're responding based on what we know and what we're familiar with. But with all of that said, I just want to say that we can change at any time. We can choose to make the change. There are certain ways we're doing things. We can choose to say, okay, well, that worked with me and my parent and me and my older kid, but it's not working with me and this kid. It's okay to change, and kind of make it work for both parties, or, parent, whatever the case is. So,
Wow, very, very insightful, very enlightening. Thank you so much for your honesty because I think all of us were forced to take a pause, and it did, I know, foster a lot of guilt, a lot of like the shoulds. We should be here. And then children, I'm noticing my students are overwhelmed with stress that they can't even function to just doing regular stuff because the pressure that they're put under, oh my gosh, like you said, their brains are still developing, so they really want acceptance. And it could be, I need to get these grades, I need to not disappoint my parents. So I think this is why your story is so powerful. You're not saying to, disrespect your parents. I think you're saying is everyone has their, I love that, custom made plan, that it takes courage, but I love how you just said too that it's okay. Wherever you're at, it's okay. What's hard is when you're punished for, say, the grades that you're not getting, or you're punished for being seen as lazy or unproductive, or you're not utilizing your full potential. And we don't know where they're at. So, I mean, your honesty and the courageous conversations. Yeah, I can imagine being a mom and really trusting. And that's my new thing. I need to trust my daughter's journey no matter what it looks like, because like you said, you are true testimonial of what happens when you practice that courage and you get out. I mean, talk about getting out of your comfort zone.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot. And, I know even with the parents as well, just as much as, I advocate for the kids to have a voice and a space in the conversation, parents too, just be gracious and compassionate to self, patient with self, understanding with self, because the parents were born in a different time, the kids are born in a
Yes.
different time, and it's okay. That's what I tell my mom too. And don't get me wrong, y'all. Sometimes I talk to my mom with such calmness and just like, mom, I'm just centered. You can't come at me today. And then sometimes I'm like, you know what, mom? Boom, boom, boom. So don't think this is all. No, my emotions. Again, like I told Karen earlier, sometimes I'm that child that's now an adult that is confident, understanding, wants to be patient with my mother. And sometimes I'm that child that's in the adult, because it's always going to be, consciousness is going
Mm.
back to childlike self, where you didn't doubt yourself, where you had so much belief in yourself that this idea and this vision you made up in your mind is going to become a reality, and everybody is going to be on it because it's just this beautiful imagination and you believed in it. That's what it is here. Loving ourselves as a child, even if we might slip in the mud and get dirty, it's okay. We got water and soap. Embracing who we are, being honest with ourselves or other people. That's what it is, going back to that, because all the other stuff is causing us, again, the stress, anxiety, separation from ourselves, from our family. It's It's not true. It's not because again, we're in the earth experience. But yeah, for the parents, it's very hard, especially in today's day with the children now having access to so much influence, so many different, even me as a 31-year-old, some days I have to literally reset my mind after scrolling on social media, because we have to remember we now have the smartphone. This is not what we had in the 90s when I was growing up. We now, the children now have total access. The outside world now has total access. So I literally have to reset myself, because sometimes I might scroll and see a creator doing a certain thing a certain way, and then I might see a mom and a daughter's relationship a certain way, and then I might see a love relationship a certain way, and then all of a sudden I'm questioning what I know is right for me, and it's like no, no, no. So that's that influence, and that's for another time about who we're following, what we're following, because just as much as we talk about health and wellness, it's also what we're consuming, the
Mm-hmm.
media we're watching, all that good stuff. But yeah, with parents as well, the children, everybody, just giving ourselves grace and patience. And I know we're like, oh, Chelsey, grace and patience doesn't pay the bills. Well, it's about to, y'all. Just keep it
It
pushing. It's about
is.
to.
Well, because we are seeing children fall apart mentally because this, and I love how you said it, it is a generational should. You should get good grades because that's going to get you into a good college, which is going to get you to a good job, which is going to make you happy and secure. And I love your journey is actually saying, you know what? I'm not saying that you don't, like you said, you treasure education, but sometimes the educational environment itself keeps us from
Yeah,
growing, right?
expanding out of, yeah.
Yeah, well, because there are certain criteria in order to get this
Yeah.
degree, in order, like I was just teaching
Mm.
geometry and she's like really stuck. I'm like, what's going on? What is your thought? And she goes, well, truthfully, I'm thinking, why do they even teach this subject?
Yeah.
And I said, I get it. And then I don't know, I come up with this thing where, but you know what? If in the future you have to get the area of this circular thing, maybe your I don't know, your best friend wants like a circular like and they don't, and the sheets don't come that. And I'm thinking, I know she's like, I would just order it custom made from Amazon, but it is you're right. It is not going to use, but I always think it's like building your brain. A lot of it you will never use, but it's like going to the gym. You are working out certain muscles. The brain, as you know, is as you know, sociology, psychology, everything is just like what you mention about growth and just everything. Everything you said. So closing comment, what is one thing that you think people who are in that, wow, she is like too brave. I can't even fathom going that one little baby step. What do you think is something that we can all do, that baby step towards embracing authenticity? I know it's kind of a powerful, loaded question, but something just simple that we can do.
I would say just don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. It's
Wow.
very, I mean, it sounds simple, and I'm just like, don't give up on yourself. But trust me, yesterday I was close to being like, okay, I'm just about to pull up to mom's, and I'm eventually gonna, head over to my mom's and stuff. There's just things that I'm doing in between, or it's just all this divine timing, which I'm still getting used to because I'm a stubborn child. I like to know when things are happening. I like to know where I'm going. I like to know what I'm doing. I like to know what's in my bank account so I can make sure I can do this and this and this and this and that. But they're like, nah, this is not how this operates. Trust. So just don't give up on yourself. You are going to make a podcast, like I'm talking about myself. You are going to make a podcast 1 year, take a break for 6 months, come back again, and go on a full year, take a break for another 6 months, and then reset it. You're going to change it. It's going to look like this, it's going to be that. Just keep going, because the thing that paused me and stopped me and prolonged me was not believing in me. So I had to work. I had to meet people who didn't believe in me so it could force me to believe in myself. I had to be put into situations that I did not see in that moment was going to test my faith, my belief in what I think a youth curriculum should look like, what I think an adolescent curriculum should look like. And first of all, I say throw the word curriculum out and just let the children will teach you, you know. And I know that sounds backwards because there's like we need to be teaching things, you know. Yeah, but it's just about I think there's like an actual word for it, where the kids, they just set out activities and the kids just kind of go and figure things out. They can choose what activity they want to do for the day. They can choose, you know, whatever event, if they want to study or if they want to do a little bit more physical. It's not about, oh, it's just free time. It's either you make them read the book and they get those words in, or you make them go to the blocks and, you know, work on their sensory, all these
Mm.
different. So it's just about options. Yeah, just not giving up on yourself. You're gonna go through, and like I said again, I didn't know in that moment, going through that job, and every 6 months, every 3 months, following up with my director. When am I gonna get a raise? When am I gonna get the title? When am I gonna get this? And I had to go to school because you, as a master teacher, or see, I have been out of it for so long that I didn't even know, but early childhood development teacher or site supervisor, which is what I wanted to do because I had the freedom to choose the
Mm-hmm.
curriculum, the freedom to choose the way the whole program was going. So I have my credits for the site supervisor. I have like my final couple of classes that I needed to do, and those was sociology. Um, and I'm glad that my director, I loved her so much, and out of, I mean, you know, I'm not comparing management and everything, and it's not a comparison, but out of all of the management that I got, she was the one that reached me in the child me, that made me want to sit down and listen, because there was just other management where I was already feeling a little on defense. And I was like, oh nah, or like I could feel the vibe. And as a professional, I shouldn't let that emotion get in the way. But that's also my intuition telling me that I don't know if this is true leadership. And see, in that moment, I should have communicated my words and said, hey, I am better, I connect better with management, or with this way, like this or like this, can we work this out? But see, I was still working on my communication. I was
Mm-hmm.
still working on utilizing my voice, and that has a lot to do with personal lack of self-esteem now reflecting in the professional space. But yeah, just believing through those things. Those are very hard hardships. That's why now this new series that I got coming up, a firm testimony, it literally is not just random affirmations. These are literal affirmations that I utilize based off my literal life experience. And it's just another way to kind of do things differently from the normal traditional kind of way of doing affirmations and stuff, just tying real life into it. So yeah, that's that. Just, yeah, not giving up on ourselves.
Powerful, powerful words though, because I think a lot of us, not only want to give up on ourselves, but part of it as a parent is sometimes questioning whether we can trust our children's journey, whether we can know that, hey, you know what, they're going to be okay. And I think that's the number
Absolutely.
one theme across all moms that I've worked with is like, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be okay. After I'm gone, I really don't know. Do you trust your child's journey? No. And I thought, wow. But
Yeah,
then it's just that
yeah,
that fear because you
yeah.
don't know, but I think that's what your journey is showing everyone is that just trust. It might be unpredictable, it might be this roller coaster journey, and you might not know. I think moms, especially, a lot of us want to know what's going to happen, what are you going to
Yeah.
eat, where are you going to,
That's the
yeah, because that
analytical
provides, yeah, that provides us comfort rather
comfort.
than, you know
Yeah,
what? No matter what happens, I know that you're going to be okay. And then
yeah,
bottom line, I remember my daughter texted this, and you know what? It's okay if you're not okay. That
yeah.
helped me through one of my darkest depressions because we think we need to be okay at all times, but we'll get through the parts. I mean, the pandemic showed us, we lost so many people. I mean, people lost jobs, homes, their everything. But look, isn't it that that pause? So many benefits from that pause. And I don't think I'd be having this opportunity to interview you. I've done over 100 interviews. There is no way if the pandemic didn't happen and just reaching out. I mean, you're not even in Hawaii and we are meeting people from all over the world. You are making a global, I want to let you know, you are making a global impact. and just continue on with your journey, share it. And this was so powerful for me. I felt like this was not even a therapy session. It was something that like eye opening, where I think parents need to know that it doesn't matter what your child's journey looks like. Don't judge it. Have faith. But you know what, most of all, don't you think that parents need to show our kids that we trust you? We may not understand you, but we trust you. That is hard to do, because we only trust what we understand. So I love when you said, it's that, like, where am I going? I don't know, but you know what? I'll be okay. And if I'm not, that's still going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe the equal part for the parents too, the last thing I wanted to say for the equal part of trusting the child is also trusting yourself as a parent.
Yes.
So if we're having those troubles with trust within ourselves as a parent, which is totally okay because it's going to happen, it's very valid and very real, it's okay to be gentle with yourself. Like, well, am I confident that what I taught my daughter, even though she's not applying it, is still being utilized? Because often maybe my mom might think like, well, everything I just taught my daughter just went out the door. No, it did not. Everything that you taught me made me who I am, Nanahu. Everything that I am today is who I am because of you, Nanahu. My mother, it is. So your children are a literal reflection of you. And I think even this, why me and my mom kind of bump heads as well, because we're so much alike. We are so alike in so many different ways, but we think that we're separated because of these life events. When
Mm-hmm.
in reality, if we continue to work together, we will actually see how we are so much alike, and that we are just meant to do so many different things. But again, uh, trusting you as a parent, that even though your child is not showing you that they're doing these specific things a certain way that you taught them to specifically do it, that it's a habitual within us, it's tied into us. If we're not doing it, we're probably just trying to be stubborn children and make y'all stressed, right? Just sweat a little bit. We just want you to sweat a little
I
bit
needed to
in the
hear
most
that.
loving
I
way.
needed to hear that, and I think a lot of moms, because that's what I've been told. Have I not taught them anything? I know that. Why do I feel like a failure? And that was needed to be said. I am so glad. If anything, it's like what we've taught them, it might not even look like it, but like you said, it's in there.
Oh
And I love
yeah,
how you
it's there.
explain it could be the stubbornness. I mean, that's what I said yesterday. I'm like, are you just like rebelling? Are you like, what's going
Yeah,
on? And then when we don't hear anything, we think, did you hear me?
yeah,
Do you have any, and then there is
yeah.
just silence. But that it's okay. We do not need to have the appropriate response. It is not a sign of disrespect. The more I research, it's like when a child shows disrespect, they're unhappy. They're
Communicate.
going through, yeah, inability to communicate the way that the parent wants, and so much turmoil going within that it appears like disrespect, but it truly
Yeah.
is a growth journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And
I
it's
am
just
so
through
glad I met
communication.
you. Yeah, because that's what it is. And if
Yeah.
parents understood, because that's what parents immediately go through, how dare you disrespect me? And it
Yeah.
isn't. The more you research people, kids who push the envelope, they're the ones who possess the highest intelligence. They're the ones who are not going to be a sheep or their followers. They have that. It looks like stubbornness, but it's actually courage to
Yeah.
pursue their own journey. I think this is, oh my gosh, thank you so much. What a powerful, powerful message that you've shared. I appreciate your vulnerability. And my gosh, Friday, then, this Friday, please join, support. It's on, say that again, it's Guam Social Progressor. And
Yeah.
keep going. And I just can't wait to see where you continue to go.
I'm very grateful and excited. And I'm excited for all these gems I dropped here too with the Letting Go with Aloha
Thanks.
podcast.
Mega, mega gems. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm so glad we did this. And I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you,
Take care.
everybody.
Okay. Bye, Chelsey.
Bye.